Okay, so you're in Talespire and you've collected a large set of assets that you have in your local directory, either because you are using the mod.io plugin or because you have a bunch of assets that can't be shared on mod.io due to licensing agreements. And now they're all in your local folder, and there's many of them, and you're having difficulty searching through them. So there has to be a better way, right? And now there is. Normally, Talespire does not allow you to make subfolders within your local folder, so all your assets show up in one big glob of assets. But now, with the Group View plugin, you can subdivide that into subfolders to organize your local assets. So let's have a look. So if we go to our library, we go to our creatures and scroll down to local. Normally, without the plugin, we would have a bunch of assets here, and if there was a large volume of that, you'd have to go scrolling to find the asset that you want. But now, with the Group View plugin, that's all changed. Now, it is going to show just local here. This part hasn't been changed. The Group View is kind of placed on top of that. And you will also notice that you will always have this one asset here. That's just to make sure that the local folder always exists. If we were looking at an empty folder, there would be no assets to view, and Talespire would then get rid of the local folder, which we don't want. So we have this one default asset that always shows up, which just basically tells you that the Group View plugin is active, and it will, because it's always present, that means Talespire will always have the local folder. So how does this work? Well, all you do is you hit the triggering key that activates the Group View plugin, and that does two things. One, here you can see what folder we're in right now, and over here you can see what folders I have available from that directory. So if I go out here, I can go to my general folder, for example, and we can see assets in my general folder have been added. As soon as I move back out of that, that's all cleaned up and we don't have any assets. And you can go to whatever level of folders you want. So for example, if I go into my Star Force, right, there are no assets in my Star Force folder, but I've got subfolders of props and characters. So if I go to characters, now we can see here I'm in Star Force characters and my characters show up. So yeah, here you can see where you currently are. The little triangle can be used to navigate back. It will automatically enumerate all of your folders, and it will update the view here, and it does remember what place you were last in. So when you restart your session, it will remember, it will be showing those assets, and it will remember what folder you're in. Now, when you're done, obviously you can just hit the triggering key again to hide the Group View layover. Now, how does this work? So initially, I had the idea of having all of the content in groups and having a symbolic link point the local folder to some other location. That mostly worked, but it wasn't an ideal solution because Talespire is very sensitive about its local folder, a little hypersensitive, I would say. And in order to point a symbolic link to a different location, you need to delete the directory and recreate it pointing somewhere else. And that was causing Talespire to notice that the local folder was gone. It would remove it from the list here, select street up here, and that meant once the navigation to a different folder was complete, you were looking at a different folder. So it was not an ideal solution. It also required to run a redirection server outside of Talespire because of permissions. So that's, in the end, I decided not to go with that solution, and instead I'm using just a move. The idea is all of your content is in a separate folder with the necessary subfolders, and this plugin just copies the content, moves the content from whatever location you're pointing at to the local folder, so it looks like that's what you're looking at, and it remembers what folder it was moved from, so that when you navigate to a different one, it moves those files back and moves the new ones in. The reason I'm using move instead of copy is that typically if you're moving on the same drive, you don't actually need to copy the whole files because it just updates the location of the files. So it should be a lot faster than copy, whereas if all the assets were being copied each time, that would be a lot of copying, and if you have a folder with a lot of assets, that would significantly slow down the process. So that's why we're using the move. And that's pretty well it.